Hello, my name is Carlos and I'm the L&D officer at PEA Care. I'm going to read for you Fire Safety Part 2, Legislation, Risk Assessments and Fire Equipment. Learning Outcomes. By the end of this course, you will be able to recognize and follow legislation relating to fire safety, the Health and Safety Executive and Regulatory Fire Safety Reform Act. Identify how to conduct and follow a risk assessment relating to fire safety. Be aware of the fire safety equipment PEA Care has to provide to support fire safety. And find where PEA Care fire policies are located and who to speak to with any concerns or questions. Legislation. The Fire Safety Order is the fire safety legislation in England and Wales. It regulates premises and sets out responsibilities for individuals subject to the Fire Safety Order. The Fire Safety Order places the duty to keep people safe from fire upon the responsible person. The Health and Safety Executive is Britain's national regulator for workplace health and safety. It prevents work-related death, injury, and ill health. Regulatory Reform Order 2005. As per the Regulatory Reform Order 2005, PEA Care has regular and timely fire risk assessments across all sites. The Environmental Compliance Officer audits regularly, ensures that their staff know the location of fire equipment, fire exits, and the evacuation protocol for the working area, has a fire safety policy that is accessible to all staff, carries out regular fire alarm testing and fire drills. Staff also are personally responsible for ensuring that they comply with the above and that their training is up to date. Health and Safety Executive. Health and Safety Executive's responsibility is to enforce the laws set by the Regulatory Reform Fire Safety Order 2005. The organization and the individuals can be prosecuted as a result of poor fire safety practice. You could be fined or go to prison if you do not follow fire safety regulations. Minor penalties can be up to £5,000. Major penalties can have unlimited fines and up to 2 years in prison. What is a risk assessment? To identify and manage hazards, risk assessments are in place. A risk assessment is a method of ensuring the risk to the health, safety, and well-being of staff, residents, and visitors are suitably eliminated, reduced, or controlled. PEA Care has many risk assessments relating to fire safety, carried out by both internal and external fire auditors. PEA Care also has individual risk assessments for each resident and some employees. Organizational risk assessments. You should be aware of any significant findings in any fire risk assessment that affect you, your role or location. For example, what fire hazards have been identified and what are the preventive measures? What information C&C, our legal health and safety representatives, provide teams regarding the regular risk assessments. Who is at risk? Consider the most vulnerable residents, for example, those in intensive care, high dependency units, neonatal units, and the elderly. Understanding fire procedure and the emergency plan for your location. following the guidance that Environmental Compliance Officer provides to PJ Care after regular audits, raising any concerns to ensure everyone works safely. Individual risk assessments. As well as organizational risk assessment, you should also be aware of risk assessments conducted for individual residents. These will include understanding where personal emergency evacuation plans (PEEPs) are, which includes individual fire risk assessments. This information will be on the resident's care plan on Access Care Planning, which highlights the residents who have paraffin creams. Understanding risk assessments embedded in the smoking section of a resident care plan on Access Care Planning. Protective measures. As part of the legislation, the tools we have in place to support staff in PJ Care are fire doors, fire alarms, fire signs, emergency escape lighting, fire fighting equipment such as fire blankets, fire extinguishers, different types, evacuation seats, evacuation mats, and the major incident box. The first protective measure is the fire doors. Fire doors provide a minimum of 30 minutes protection, but they're only effective if you follow these instructions. Fire doors must be kept shut and locked at all times. Not be wedged in an open position. Report any damage to fire doors. And no other signs other than fire signs relating to the door should be in place. Fire alarm. Fire alarms alert people when smoke or heat is detected. The alarm will be continuous throughout the building. Fire signage. Fire signage is there to indicate emergency routes and exits and the location of fire safety equipment. Emergency escape lighting. Emergency lights should illuminate escape routes and fire safety equipment if the main lights fail. Firefighting equipment. Firefighting equipment should be provided for firefighting in the premises and be readily available to use. There are a number of different kinds of extinguishers available depending on the risk associated with the area. Fire blankets. Fire blankets can be used to extinguish small fires. They can also be used to wrap around a person whose clothes have caught alight. It is best to store fire blankets in or close to a kitchen, but not too close to a potential hazard, for example, above the stove. Let's see the different fire extinguishers. There are different types of fire extinguishers to use because of the different types of fuel. These are called classes of fire. The fire risk from the different classes of fire will determine which fire extinguisher types you need to use. The first extinguisher in our list is carbon dioxide fire extinguishers. Carbon dioxide, CO2, extinguishers are effective on electrical appliance fires. The next extinguisher in our list is foam fire extinguishers. Foam extinguishers are effective on flammable liquids but can be used on all non-electrical fires. Wet chemical extinguishers. These are developed specifically to deal with deep fat cooking fires, so are suitable for fires in kitchens only. Water extinguishers. These are suitable for fires involving solid materials. but should not be used to put out flammable liquids or electrical fires. We most commonly going to use this one for most of the materials, clothes, paper, cardboard, but remember not to use it on flammable liquids or electrical fires. Dry powder extinguishers are suitable for small fires and fires involving electrical equipment. However, they should not be used on sensitive electrical equipment such as computers. In this slide, you can see a summary of the different extinguishers. As you can see, water only has one green tick. It's because water can be only used for organic materials, solid materials. Foam can be used for organic materials as well, and for flammable liquids. Dry powder can be used for almost anything, but not for cooking oils in the kitchen. CO2 can be used mainly for electrical equipment, but also for flammable liquids. And white chemical can be used for cooking oils mainly, but can be also used for organic materials. Evacuation mats. In an emergency, this is a piece of equipment used to evacuate a resident safely and securely by trained members of staff in the event of a fire in accordance with their PEP, Personal Emergency Evacuation Plan. If you look at the left image, the red mat, these ones are found underneath the mattress of residents with limited mobility. So there's no need to be transferred in an emergency. Safety belts are in place to keep residents safe on the mattress, easy and flexible to use. And underneath these images, you can see two colors. There is the red mats that they have two sizes, standard or large, and is the bariatric evacuation mat, the green one. And finally, the major incident box. Pause the video and check all the elements that are in this box. Unit completed. Thank you. Now you can complete the e-assessment and move to the next module, Module 3.